Welcome to this week's Lagnia-POD. I am one of your hosts, Ashley Trice. The gang is all here except for Rob, so we're going to do our co-hosting thing once again this week, just like The View. I don't know which one that makes me. Who's Whoopi Goldberg? I don't know.
Tommy could be Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay, all right, yes.
The look he
if
just
only
gave.
you could see the look that Tommy just gave Kyle. Anyway, well, let's get to it because we have a lot to get. Yesterday, this is coming out on Thursday, but yesterday, Tuesday, was the last day to qualify for all of the municipal elections around the area in Mobile and Baldwin. Of course, the big win, Mobile, we had two names that we were expecting who did not qualify, and then also two that no one thought really had a chance anyway, didn't qualify. But Brady, give us the latest on the Mobile races, the mayor's first and then the city council.
Well, we went into Tuesday expecting there to be, as many as 8 candidates for mayor, and we come away and there's half of that.
That's great, actually.
So, it is. It works out. Marion Dias and Donovan Eli, who last week said that they were getting into the race, did not qualify. So they've started and stopped in the span of a week.
Yes.
But the two big ones, Lawrence Batiste and Jermaine Burrell, Batiste, I think, announced his candidacy
first
before anybody else, I'm pretty sure. But both of them announced on Wednesday, that they were suspending their campaigns. They didn't appear on the qualifying list for the city clerk's office, which kind of raised some questions in the first place, but then they made it official on Wednesday that not only were they suspending their campaigns, but they're also both endorsing Barbara Drummond immediately for her campaign. So we're down to just the 4 candidates for mayor. We've got Drummond, we've got Paul Prine, Spiro Chirigatis, and then we've got Connie Hudson. That's where we're at with the mayoral race, and it really cleans things up, and it's much needed, to kind of clear things up because I think we talked about this last week. We've had forums and things like that, but they've all been just so cluttered with some candidates that you're not able to really ask every candidate the same question.
Right. You can't kick the tires evenly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes 2 hours, and each candidate only got 2 questions each.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really pinpoint where your preferred candidate might land on an issue when they're only answering 2 questions. So this will hopefully kind of expedite that process and hopefully allow for an easier forum and debates to be had moving forward. And I mean, who knows? I mean, another candidate may drop out between now and then, but at least as of right now, we're going to have 4 on the ballot.
I don't really see any of these 4 dropping out. I mean, I guess the conventional wisdom, just if you're looking at the racial dynamics and how voting history in the past has been, not that it's always that every black person votes for a black candidate and every white person votes for a white candidate. It does not work that way. But it leans that way. And so I guess the conventional wisdom would be that Barbara Drummond is probably definitely going to make the runoff, and then the Prine and Hudson and Chirigatis will fight it out for second place.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the thing
But I'm
is.
sure that was a discussion that Burrell, Batiste, and Drummond had as well.
Yes, and that's what, I actually asked Batiste, because Burrell didn't speak to the media afterward, but Batiste did. And I actually asked him, how much of that went into it. He said, it's very likely that nobody's going to get the 51% needed on August 26th. And so the thought process behind them both dropping out and simultaneously giving the endorsement is to rally that support behind the one candidate so that you can kind of go ahead and assume that Drummond is going to make the runoff and start planning ahead for that. But I mean, it is a very, very, very small chance, but there is a possibility that being the only black candidate, Drummond, depends on voter turnout.
Yeah.
It depends on that solely.
Did we talk about this? What was it, like around 40 or 50,000?
It was last time around. I have to go back and look. I had the numbers a week or so ago, but it was a pretty good turnout for the last one. But if voter turnout is high, there is the off chance that Drummond could get, with the vote being split 3 ways between Brian Hudson and Chirigatis, there is a possibility that Drummond might get that 51%. I wouldn't say it's definitely not likely, and it's a very small chance.
And she's probably the only one that has that possibility.
1,000% that she's the only one. Because I mean, and really the only other candidate that I could see dropping out potentially is Paul Prine, just because, and that is very unlikely to, just because I don't think his ego will allow him to drop out.
Yeah.
If his money crater's out, or his polling data, internal polls show that he's not doing very well, he may drop out. But
I don't think so. I think they're all in it till the end. But and then on the city council, the only people we have running unopposed are Bo Fleming, which I was kind of surprised by that one because that's a big district. But
I was surprised by that one too. Usually if you've got you got CJ Small, who's also running unopposed, that one's not that surprising.
Yeah,
when you've got an incumbent.
But the District 6 race, that's going to be a slugfest.
That's going to be interesting to see. That's the most interesting city council race when you've got incumbent Josh Woods, and you've got former Mobile Police Detective Paul Onderdonk, who is running, and then you've also got Matthew Frazier, who is rallying a lot of support out in West Mobile. He's a big Creek Lake.
He's
guy.
the Big Creek candidate, as I like to call him.
The Big Creek candidate. That's a good way to
instead of Big Pharma, Big Creek.
Yeah, there you go. Big Creek. Yeah. Yeah.
Did Onderdonk qualify?
He qualified.
Oh, okay.
Onderdonk has qualified, and so it'll be he and Woods and Matthew Frazier. And there's a couple of other races.
Downtown where we are is William Carroll and Samantha Ingram.
Right. You got Gina Gregory and Robert Battles in District 7.
Does Corey Penn have a challenger?
He does.
Herman Thomas.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's
we
right.
discussed this at length last week. Yes.
Glad you paid attention, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, you write about these things and then you move on to the next.
Kyle.
That's it. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Brady, that's on you.
That is on me.
Yeah. But speaking, Kyle, now it's time to really pay attention because we also have some exciting Baldwin County races.
That's
Spanish Fort and Orange Beach.
And Orange Beach and Daphne in our kind of and Gulf Shores too. All
big mayoral challenges. Let's start with Orange Beach because Tony Kennan, has he even faced an opponent since he took over in 2008?
He's been on the throne there for a while.
I think he's faced an opponent once or twice, but that opponent only got like 50.
Yeah, but this is someone that's formidable.
Who's on the council.
He is
Jeff Boyd,
the council president and mayor pro tem. So I mean,
pretty much Kennan's right-hand man.
Yeah.
So he's splitting away.
Yeah. So
he's going for the big shell, the big sandcastle.
Yeah.
So
I did look him. I don't really know much about the lay of the land down there, but I did look him up, and he seems to be some sort of infectious disease guy or something.
He is.
Yeah.
He is some kind of, I don't know exactly what his ties are there, but I mean, I covered Orange Beach for a couple of years, and I mean, I will say that on the city council, it seems as though Boyd was one of the only ones who really would go in opposition of Kennan on some things. He's the one who really kickstarted the Leave Only Footprints campaign behind. He really spearheaded that for Orange Beach. And so I was pretty surprised that Boyd jumped.
There must be, he must feel like there's some blood in the water for some reason.
Well, I think, given the whole school system issues and just...
Yeah. And some of the personality.
Issues, right.
Yeah.
So stuff going on there, I think maybe he feels as though people believe that Kennan is running.
It's time for a change.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And or maybe this is just hoping that this can catapult him maybe next time around. I don't know, but I was pretty shocked to see number 2.
Because he's and then in Spanish Fort, I mean, there seems to be
we got Mike McMillan, who's the mayor there. He's running for re-election. He's been there for a while, and then we got Brad Bass.
Yeah, who was his big claim to fame, or how he got his name on the map was he was against what was it?
Walmart or some kind of large retail project that was going to come to Spanish Fort, and he rallied up the neighbors and got them to defeat that.
That's often how it starts.
It sure is. And then there's also somebody else running who works in the library there named Lauren Kress. I hadn't heard her name until today, but
so we'll figure out
who that is. And then down in Daphne, we got Mayor Robin, who is running.
Lejeune.
Yes, Robin Lejeune, who's running for re-election, and then Carl Gustafson, not to be confused with the Carl Gustafson who's on the city council in Spanish Fort. This is a whole different Carl.
One's a K Carl and one's a C Carl, right?
This is K Carl, and then Spanish Fort is C Carl.
That's fun.
Carl in Spanish Fort is running for his seat
Who knew
And
there was
then-
such a Scandinavian presence on the
Oh
Eastern
yeah,
Shore?
there's definitely that Northeastern Europe flair on the Eastern Shore.
That's what I think every time I go over there.
Yeah. There's lots of fjords over there.
Yeah.
So you got your Spanish Fort, Daphne, Orange Beach, and then in Gulf Shores we've got Robert Kraft, who's the incumbent down there, running for re-election, and then you've got Ray Moore Jr. and then Angie Swiger.
Okay.
So you got 3 people in that race who are vying for that sandcastle in Gulf Shores.
Oh, that's lovely, Kyle. Yes. We are having we're doing our best to profile all of these. We've been kind of waiting until qualification ends because there's just like Burrell and Batiste. It always inevitably will spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
At profiling people and interviewing them, and then for them not to even qualify.
Fade off into the sunset.
Like I said, we started this week with 8 candidates for mayor, and then here we are Wednesday at noon, and we're down to 4.
Yes, which is a good thing. Yes, it is absolutely a good thing. Anything else we're missing on the election front that I'm forgetting?
What was surprising to me was nobody ran against Sherry Sullivan for mayor of Fairhope with all of the library controversy.
You thought because of the lobby, like some of the
and some of those
not
personalities,
the Moms for Liberty, but the other
Brian Dassinger had been rumored kind of too, and then some of those people, but nobody's going to run against her. Sherry will sail back into office.
But all of the city council
has a challenger in Fairhope. That's right.
Yeah. So it's going to be quite. And then Pritchard's got the same. I feel like the same people run for mayor up there every single time, and it's just rinse and repeat. But Jimmy Gardner and Carletta Davis. And
Sarah Landers, a couple of candidates, a couple of council members who are running. Dr. Mayor Rubenstein is not running for re-election. So you have a new mayor,
Dr. Mayor Rubenstein.
Sarah Land. So
they just they actually just sent a list out for Pritchard. There are 10 qualified mayoral candidates.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No,
who are they?
Serious?
Anthony Clark Banks, Rodney Clements Jr., Carletta Davis, Jimmy Gardner, Charles Hardin, Terrence Harris, Lorenzo Martin.
Lorenzo Martin's been mayor before. He's run for mayor.
Janetta Pogue, Kelvin Thornton, and Helen Wright.
Oh my God. Wow. Holy mayoral race, Batman.
There's 4 candidates for District 3, and then 3 candidates each for 4 and 5. So
that is wild.
It's a massive participation.
Your campaign slogan there, it can't get any worse.
That's exactly right.
Definitely going to a runoff.
100%.
Somebody put the heat on in this results. I need the air.
Anyway, all right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we have a lot to talk about in sports because we had Brady and Tommy were at the Hall of Fame ribbon cutting yesterday, and then at an after-hours party. How late were y'all out at the Outsider?
Well, I was there till about 7 because I was up very early this morning. But Tommy, I believe, running the night.
Yeah, I stayed way late. I think 8:30.
Doing shots with Jake Peavy and who else was there?
Jake Peavy was there. Jordan Patterson, Lance Johnson was there.
Well, don't tell us all yet. We got a tease. We'll come back and tell you the rest of the VIPs in our next segment.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagnia Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagnia Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagnia Daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagnia Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we're back with the second and really the most exciting segment of the day, I would say.
Certainly. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, because we have Hall of Famers that are living. And were any of the people at the after party Are they going to be Hall of Famers, you think?
No.
Well, they still play Major League Baseball.
Lance Johnson was there.
Yeah.
But he's not a Hall of Famer, but he is a guy that's had a long Major League career. He was there.
Career, yeah.
And, obviously Jake put it on. Jake Peavy put it on at his place at the Outsider. It was a cool event. I mean, it was
that was sweet. That was awesome they did it. But the reason he did it, though, is because the Hall of Fame walk. And obviously we've talked about it, but I thought it was kind of interesting what the family members had to say that came back. And so why don't y'all tell us about that? Who wants to go?
It was a very, very cool day. I mean, you started out, they had a lunch.
And Brady's a baseball nerd.
I'm a baseball nut.
Yeah.
So this was,
I mean, nut. Did I said nerd, but I meant nut.
I'll take nerd.
Yeah.
I think nerd is correct.
Whatever adjective you want to use to describe me, I'm there for it. But it was a very cool day. I mean, they started out with a luncheon. They welcomed in the family members of those who passed away, Satchel Paige. Hank Aaron's family had a death in the family, so they weren't able to be there. We had representatives from the family of Willie McCovey. His daughter actually spoke to it's a massive crowd that showed up for it, the ribbon cutting that came after the luncheon. But Billy Williams came down from Chicago. He was there. That was very cool to see him there, and gave a great speech. And then Robert Brazil, who still lives here in Mobile.
The only football player in the mix.
That has a statue, our only Hall of Famer here in Mobile. It was a very, very cool thing. And Tommy and I have seen the statues a handful of times before, but to see Robert Brazil and Billy Williams standing next to their statues right there, that was
they just
pretty
look
surreal.
Beautiful. I mean, I haven't gone to see them in person yet, but the photos are
they're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the artist Brett Grill, and I know Tommy interviewed him, and he shed a little bit more light on that. But I mean, just looking at the vein, you can see the veins in the arms.
Sometimes those can go horribly wrong.
They can.
Very bad.
If you don't know, just look up the soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo.
I mean, Rafa Nadal's at the French Open. I'm like, it's pretty, but it doesn't really look like it.
No, but these are like spitting images of the players.
Yeah, they really are
very well done. But it like I said, it was a very overall cool day. And I know Tommy got to interview Billy Williams and Earl Campbell, Hall of Fame running back. Was there.
He was there.
He was there. Yeah, to support Robert Brazil because they played together on the Houston Oilers, and that was pretty cool to see. And
the Titans had a good contingent of people that came down to represent Robert at the ceremony.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. It was good to see Reggie Copeland Sr. was there at the unveiling. He was sitting in a golf cart. Good for him. I think he's 96, closing in on 97, I believe. He was out there. A lot of political candidates made their way out there. But you also had like Willie Anderson came to town to be there for Robert Brazil, and you had Jake Peavy was there, of course, and Lance Johnson, all those guys. It was really cool to see how they talking to them later at the baseball deal that Jake had, just what they thought of the event, and they all just thought it was so great that it brings.
And were they surprised that we have the most professional base or Hall of Famers? Is it Hall of Famers per capita?
Hall of Famers per capita. Yes.
Yeah.
No, they were all pretty aware of that. I mean, whenever they played, they would say, I guess the mayor told the great story that Billy has told 100 times that. People ask her, so what is it about you guys from Mobile? And he said, well, it's just something in the water. And
did you look at the water?
Apparently in Billy's book that he wrote that what you do is you go down to this creek and you put your hand in the water and you sip. And if there's a crawfish in there, then you're going to be great. And so that's what it was about, he said. But it's definitely in the water where we're at.
I think I'm about to leave my post here and go bottle up some bay water and start selling it next to the statues down there. Yeah, just like the same like the Fountain of Youth. It'll be beautiful brown Mobile Bay water. Drink at your own risk.
May not be that tasty. You might have to add a little something to it.
Market as poop cruise water.
Yeah. I did watch that last night. It was pretty
greatness
good.
water.
Yeah. Anyway, but also, okay, is that do we cover all the Hall of Fame stuff?
Like I said, it was a very, very cool event.
And it's open to the public now, so go down there. Did they have the empty pedestal set up yet where you can put your...
Not yet. Okay. They're still putting that in there.
I love that. Taking Little League teams down there, that'd be great.
It was very cool to see because in his speech, Billy Williams kind of made the statement that if you're still a young kid playing baseball, continue to chase your dreams. Then you look right there in front of him. There's kids wearing Billy Williams jerseys.
Oh, that's
so that
great.
was,
yeah.
That was pretty cool to see. But it was a great event, and kudos to the city. I know the city worked hard to put that on, and statues are great. And so everybody needs to go.
Yeah, I love that. That's when I love telling, Hank Aaron, Satchel Paige, it's one of those things we can brag on.
And Cleon, we haven't mentioned Cleon Jones, who obviously had a big part in this, and he was awarded given an award by the mayor, him and his wife, for all of the work that they've done.
Yeah, because it was his idea originally, right? Yeah.
And so, and he also mentioned there's going to be another part of that park, of the walk. It's called a Field of Dreams, where I think it's just going to mention all of the all-stars in whatever sport for Mobile, that some kind of recognition for them there too. So that'll be a cool aspect if that gets done. But he certainly put a lot of heat on Mayor Stimson on his way out to make sure that gets done.
Well, that should, because we've got, we probably have triple the amount of those over, if not quadruple. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But other big sports news this week: Panini Pete Super Bowl. No, Senior Bowl. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Or no, just Panini Senior Bowl. Yes. But I keep wanting to say the Panini Pete Senior Bowl.
And I think everybody, when they first heard it, that's around here anyway. That's the first thing they thought.
If Panini Pete doesn't jump on this opportunity, he's missing out. But
he's missing out.
Yeah.
He should have had sandwiches at the press conference yesterday afternoon. That would have been good.
Yes. But no, Panini is the sports memorabilia trading card company. They've been the official trading card sponsor, right?
For like 2 or 3 years they've been with them already. And last year they signed a deal where they were the official trading card of the Senior Bowl, but also the official practice sponsor. So they've had some financial investment in it.
They make cards for all the players. And that'll be cool. Some cool merch, can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
If you get one of the Senior Bowl. I wonder, Brady, you're a card guy. Yes. If you have a Senior Bowl card of one of these Hall of Famers compared to their rookie year or whatever. What do you think? Is that going to be valuable one day? Or?
It could be valuable. I mean, it just kind of, that market kind of ebbs and flows like any other, but it definitely could be. And I think what Panini does that a lot of sports cards companies don't do is that they put a lot of numbered sets and everything. Okay. So you may have only 25 of a certain card printed. If they do that for the Senior Bowl, that'll definitely be worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they were even they were coming up to people at the press conference yesterday afternoon and saying, "Hey, do you want a card?" And they would take you in front of a logo with the new logo of the Panini, and you can make your own card. So
pretty cool.
I declined, but still.
Oh, Tommy Hicks, you should have gotten one.
I'd pay for a Tommy Hicks.
So are they going to throw cards out at the parade? What are we going to replace those delicious Reese's Pieces?
Well, I got one when we played in a baseball game with the Bay Bears. I'll bring those in, and y'all can have one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked much better back then.
I was also curious if they're going to throw baseball cards, because if you're going to throw baseball cards and they hit the pavement, that's going to bend the corners.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's going to hurt the value a little bit of them if you want to sell them. But I don't know.
They better be handing them out.
Didn't some of them used to have bubble gum in them back in the day?
Yeah. Wow, you're such a nerd. You're worried about the grading.
Yeah,
that's the nerd aspect coming out. Yeah,
we said nut, not nerd.
Yeah,
yes,
nut. Get it correct. Scott.
Yeah.
He's a nutty nerd.
So don't throw the card.
Well, anyway, what a wonderful sports week in Mobile, and that's exciting. Anything on what's next on the horizon? Just football stuff?
Football stuff is going to start up. Media days for high school football will be the end of July. 3 straight days. We'll have all the coaches from Mobile and Baldwin County represented, and they'll bring players as well. So all of that's getting started, and that's about the time that they can start practicing.
So I'll put you on the spot. Sarah Lynn, the favorite to get back to?
Until somebody knocks them off, they're going to be the favorite. But that's also a really tough region.
Yeah.
They got a lot of good teams in that region. So we'll see. They've lost their starting quarterback, but the quarterback coming back played 2 games last year when KJ Lacey was injured, and he looked really good. So I'm thinking they're not going to be hurting at that position for a while.
Yeah, that's probably true. All right. Well, we'll wrap up this second segment. We're going to come back. Scott Johnson's got the second part of his big cover story on the chiropractic centers and legal centers and the tangled web they have woven, and he's going to untangle it for us a little bit. So we'll be right back.
just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
And we're back with the third and final segment of Lagnia-POD this week. Scott, you have been working tirelessly on this South Alabama medical and rehab story. It's really good. Great reporting on it. It's so we had the first installment week before last, and kind of lay out where we were and then what we have found out since.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, my back's sore from carrying the cover stories the last 3 weeks. I'm kidding.
You're free for at least 3 weeks.
At least
you got a small. Yeah.
You are the one who found part 2 after all. So
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Well,
not that anyone's counting.
So this was actually really hard to try and put into paper, just because, like you said, it's a tangled mess, and I mean, and I will just say we'll try to explain it, but it's better. I kind of thought if you've ever watched that show Homeland, where you see like the board of all pictures and with the strings from one thing to another. Like I was like, we really need one of those. I could totally do it. There are so many.
So it's better to read it and comprehend it, but let's just try to give them a little picture.
If you could put a yarn board up, what do they call it? I don't know. If you put a yarn board up,
the Carrie Matheson board, but but that's only if you've watched Homeland. But anyway,
I do feel kind of psychotic with how much I've kind of focused and trying to dive in, and all the people I've talked to.
Well, she was bipolar and crazy, but she was.
I'm kind of thinking. I don't know. I'm kind of questioning it myself now.
Anyway.
But anyway, so at the center of this massive board of yarn, you basically have this man, chiropractor Michael Kent Planbeck, who has done this before.
He's been sued. He's had RICO charges. Yeah. This was his sort of template of how to make money. Yeah. If you're a personal injury attorney and you present sort of as a chiropractor, although you only have like a nurse practitioner, and you get minimal therapy.
Yep. Yes. And just traction beds, etc. And basically just how to milk insurance claims at traffic accidents and turn it into kind of like a
cottage industry.
You're just they've figured out how to get a hold of the telemarketers and rapidly get patients, and
in multiple states, many of the attorneys they're involved with, if there are attorneys, aren't even licensed in the states that they are. That.
Yeah. So and like Ashley mentioned, he's done this before, and this is his blueprint, and it's control every aspect of the claim as you can, and
make people sign away their rights before they even really know what they're signing away.
Pay for everything through a lawsuit against the at-fault insurance company. What I was able to determine, is that over the last 20 years, this scheme has developed into a new iteration where he's leveraging, and he's completely enveloped the insurance policy process, and even to embed his own licensed lawyer into this enterprise. And
that's the Van Vacek?
Yes, there's a man by William Vacek who kind of becomes spotlighted in all of this. It's really interesting just because he's a Florida resident, has a bar license in Washington, D.C., ran or operated businesses in Alabama, and then also has business partners in Arizona. It's just very weird.
But the funniest thing I really enjoyed about this is he has a logo that he generated that's like Vacek Attorneys, but it's misspelled. It looks like it's AI generated. It's Turners. Yeah,
that one was funny because yes, he has this law firm called Vacek Law Group, and basically under that he's popped up all these different little names. So there's like Sterling Shield Legal. There's John Baker. There is and then one of them was Titan Trial Attorneys.
Oh, that was the one. Yeah, Titan Turners.
And that I came across that one. It was funny because I tried calling John Baker on several numbers, and on Monday the person answering the phones actually just like routed me to the wrong firm, and so instead of sending me to the Alabama whatever, they sent me to Titan, and I was like, "Are y'all involved with VASIC?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I was like, and so I just started looking at their website, and then misspelled attorney with a
And did we ever
Turners,
determine if John Baker is a real person?
I've not found evidence.
He's
to
Kaiser
say,
Sose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the most stark and surprising points is that the people, patients in Alabama have begun retaining a lawyer named John Baker. And I've got a business card where, it clearly lists it. I've got a contingency fee agreement where his name's listed. And and
just to remind everyone, this clinic is right across from Phillips Magnet School or Phillips Prep, right on Old Shell Road. I bet people drive by. I drive by it several times a day myself, just hauling kids around. But
I work out at a gym just right there. We run by all the time. Yeah. And probably one of my favorite headlines of all time, Old Shell game.
Yeah, it was just Shell game, but I will give Rob some props on that one. He was like, it's got to be Old Shell game.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah. We probably should have put Shell in parentheses though, but oh well.
Yeah,
it's fun. People still get it. Yeah.
So, and then, so John Baker, basically nobody has record of him ever being licensed in Alabama, let alone I've never been able to locate who this guy is. The Bar Association has like 5 or 6 John Bakers. I called every single one of them. They do not share an address, or they all denied it being him. So all of the patients say that they try contacting him. They never get him. Some people have never even spoken with him. And so by all means, it looks like either a pseudonym, which is very against the rules of the Alabama rules on lawyers, but
and they're just preying on these people, especially and obviously our local people. So it's just a really important story. They're preying on people nationwide, but
and they are targeting. It's like when they get calls, they are targeting people who've never been in wrecks before. They're targeting people who generally are either have like no job listed onto their thing, or they are low, maybe a certain zip code.
Right.
That I know.
So they're profiling people.
They are profiling people. I know that all the attorneys have said that, 95% plus of anybody who's ever gone through there are African American, Black. So people, they're getting cut short on their claims, especially when you have an attorney.
And they could get a much bigger settlement. Yeah. Because they're getting, not only is the attorney taking their cut, the chiropractic rehab center is taking a cut, right? Yeah,
and then they're left with a third or less. So it's one source told me that these bills can generally, they were targeting inflating the bills up to $16,000 for a treatment plan. And again, this is no medical doctor. You're never seeing a licensed professional,
which should be illegal.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. So and again, biggest people, it's hard to shed tears for insurance companies, but
it makes everyone else's rates go up.
It makes everyone's rates go up, and these people are, especially the people that are already involved. The insurance companies are going to flag their claims. They're going to stonewall anybody involved as a patient at any of these places.
And these people are, just unknowingly signing up with people that are being flagged.
They don't know any better. A lot of people think that when they get called.
Well, you look at the sign, it looks legit. It looks like South Alabama Medical and Rehab. It's got a spinal column on it. It looks like any other doctor's sign.
And at every point, they've figured out how to toe the line on every point. So they're not under any regulatory board. They're not answering to anybody. The medical board doesn't have jurisdiction over them. The Bar Association doesn't have jurisdiction over them. And so what are we going to do? And I think it's gonna take one of these agencies to step out and launch an investigation or something.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be more to come on this, but
I hope so.
Yeah, but it's great reporting. It's really good stuff. I'm so proud of it. So definitely pick it up and read it, and then maybe get your own yarn board. And maybe we should give out like a little kit that goes with.
We could sell kits. All right, guys, now come with me. Let's circle this one.
I'll send in a picture of your board, and you'll win a prize.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Another great week of Lagnia-POD. Will we be back next week? Yes, we will have the holiday Independence Day, 4th of July. We might be a lot of people on vacay next week, but we'll have a light load. But anyway, have a great week, and we'll be back next week.
Bye.
The Lagnia-POD is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagniapmobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.